Okay, so now this might be better. Okay, first tip that I have for you guys, upcoming 8th graders, or just upcoming middle schoolers in general, is don't be scared by switching classes. It's not that difficult to switch classes. It's really actually pretty simple, and I honestly, there's not a lot of like trouble when you switch classes. So it's not like a big deal to, switch classes or whatever. See the difference though? Ring light. No ring light. Anyway, so just don't be scared when you are switching classes. Don't be scared of like switching classes and getting lost in a little. I have some tips and tricks for this. This one actually you can use for any time you're switching classes because it's really helpful. If you take your phone and you take a picture of your schedule, or if you have an online schedule, you screenshot it, and then you put it as your lock screen. You put it as your lock screen just for like the first week of school. You can just like pull out your phone and click the on button and it'll show you your thing because you have it as your lock screen. So you don't have to like open your phone, you just look at the lock screen and it has your schedule, and then you know where you need to go. And after that, after like a week or 2 weeks, it'll get just muscle memory and you won't have to look at your schedule anymore. And that's when you can switch your schedule off of that and switch it back to whatever you want your screensaver to be. That's just something that's really helpful that I do. I still do. I started this like 6th grade or something like that, and I still do it because it's really helpful for me. Okay, so the next thing is don't skip out on orientation. Don't. Because I remember being so scared because I actually got back from a camp. I was supposed to get back at like, I think I was supposed to get back at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, the day before school starts. But I got back at 3 in the morning the day the school started. Because this was a couple of years ago when I was flying on Delta, when Delta had that like really big thing where every plane got delayed, and I was coming back from Minnesota. I was going from Minnesota to a place where I lived because I went to camp in Minnesota. And it was during that whole like Delta had something seriously wrong with all of their servers and stuff like that a couple years ago, and so I didn't get back until 3 in the morning, and I had to go home. I slept for 2.5 hours, and then I had to go to school. Yeah, on the first day of school, and because I didn't go to, and then the year before that, I had to miss the first day of school again because the same camp, and I had to miss the first day of school the year before because our school start, where I went to school then, school started at like August 10th. School started like August 10th. So it's like, I'm going to school so early, and my camp ended on August 9th. And I went to school on August 10th. That's literally how it was. So it was just kind of like, it was just really difficult, and because those 2 years in a row, I missed orientation. The first year, I missed the first day of school, so I was so confused, and I kept thinking my A schedule was my B schedule, and my B schedule was my A schedule, because my first day of school was a B schedule day. Because we went A, B, A, B, A, B. So my first day was in B schedule. So I kept thinking what I had on B days, I had on A days, and what I had on A days, I had on B days, because I wasn't there for the first day of school. And then the second year, I just got so lost because I had no idea where I was going. I knew A and B schedule, but I just didn't know where I was going because I wasn't there for orientation, so I actually had no idea where my classes were. Luckily, that school wasn't very large. Okay, so another tip for you guys that are going into middle school or redoing middle school, if you guys aren't allowed to have backpacks in your classrooms, which I didn't my 8th grade year, I wasn't allowed to have backpacks. So it's really hard, especially if the lockers are teeny tiny. It's really hard to fit all of your stuff in there, especially if you're taking high school classes like I was taking 9th grade English. I was taking 9th grade English, 8th grade honors history, algebra, what else? 9th grade science. So, I had a lot of, like, books and a lot of notebooks and a lot of, like, stuff that I had because I was taking high school credit classes. So I had so much stuff that I was, like, I was really scared, and it was just, like, I had no space to put it. And so during, like, tests / during the lunch, one of my teachers, luckily my teacher that I had, the class right after lunch, she allowed us to put our binders in her classroom. Thank the Lords for her, because I wouldn't have been able to fit all of that stuff in my locker with my backpack and stuff. Not gonna lie, I could not fit all of that in my locker. Next tip. So if you are allowed to bring your backpacks around and you have a locker, for my 7th grade year, my locker was in a portable because my homeroom, because we had A-B schedule that my 6th and 7th year, the school I went to for my 6th and 7th year, we had A and B schedules. So you would have 4 classes on A day and 4 classes on B day, and the last class, so they would be 90-minute class. The first 3 classes would be 90-minute classes for all of those, and then the last class was a 45-minute class, and you had that every day, and that was called your homeroom. And so your lockers were usually in your homeroom / like near it, like in the hallway really close to your homeroom. But my homeroom was a portable my 7th grade year. And it was on the other side of the school from all of my other classes. So I literally did not use my locker because we were allowed backpacks, and I physically just wasn't able to go. I had one of my friends who was in the same homeroom as I was, and he actually, like, was late to almost every class because he went back to get stuff from his locker. And if you are watching this and you know who you are, yeah. I just didn't use my locker that year because there was no point in it. My locker was on the other side of the school. It wasn't a big school, but you couldn't get from one side of the school to the other side and then back in 5 minutes. Well, I couldn't. Some people could, so I just didn't do that. My 6th grade year, actually, I only used my locker for my homeroom stuff. Because my homeroom wasn't, like, on the other side of the school. It was actually, like, in the middle of all my classes. And I used my homeroom locker, my locker that was in my homeroom, just for my homeroom stuff, and to put my stuff in the locker during homeroom and then grab it, because she wouldn't allow the backpacks in the classroom, because they had a separate room for her lockers in that room. So she had us put all of our backpacks in that in the, like, little locker room thing, because she didn't like backpacks messing up her room, because rooms aren't that big, especially when you have, like, 25 kids. Rooms aren't that big. From 25 to 30 kids, rooms are not big. Desks are shoved together, They can't really get around if backpacks are, like, crowding the space. So she liked it that way. Most of my other teachers had us put our backpacks on our chairs, like on the back of our chairs, or under our chairs. I don't know. So, yeah. Another tip I have is, if you're going into 8th grade, or you're going into 7th grade, and if you're going into 7th grade and you maybe have, like, algebra, or going into 7th grade and you have some 9th grade class, or you're going into 8th grade and you have some high school credit class, I am going to tell you, I was really scared to have a high school credit class. I'm actually really scared because if I pass the, because I have what do I have? I have AP Human Geography this year, in my freshman year, which this class is like a it's a college credit class for 9th graders. So this is like a normal college credit class if the 9th graders are a little bit above 9th grade levels. But it's usually only taken by 9th grade students or by freshman students, whatever the heck you want to call them. But I was really scared because I'm like, if I pass this AP test at the end of the school year, this counts for my college, GPA. Is that not scary? And in my 8th grade year, I had 9th grade stuff, and I was like, and in the beginning of my 8th grade year, I was scared because I had 9th grade credit classes. So most of my classes would be in my high school transcript. And if you have any of those classes, do not drop out of them. Trust me, do not drop out of them. It is okay to take a challenge. Just make sure you are on track for that. And if you're really doing terrible in a 9th grade class and you have most middle schools give you the option of if you want to retake this class at the end of the school year or if you want to count it for your GPA. I decided to count all my classes for my GPA because I ended with A's and B's from all the semesters. I had 1 C in a quarter, but high schools only do semesters, or the high schools I'm going to only do semester grades. They don't really care about quarters. So hopefully that C won't turn up on my transcript. But other than that, I have all A's and B's. And so I decided that I actually just want to progress and I don't want to take all those classes again. But if you really are failing those classes, you can, or you have a C or a D in some of those classes, you can certainly ask to take them again. I'm not gonna say you'll get better grades the second time, or you might get worse grades the second time, but it's just something you can do, and you can. But just remember, if you have a high school credit class, just remember that you don't really need to worry about it very much, but you definitely need to pay attention to what grades you have and how well you're doing and how well you're taking tests and stuff, because this will be on your high school transcript if you decide it to. So, just to just make sure you're paying attention and you're doing the work, because, yeah. Okay, so the next advice tip I have is for all of you guys who, what is it? Oh, this is another tip if you have high school credit classes. Do pay attention, and also if you do not do very well in a high school credit class in middle school, you might not do very well in the high school credit class, in high school, if you retake the class. You might not do very well the second time, because in middle school we go over the stuff a lot slower than they do in high school. In high school it's just test. It's test, exam. And you go everything really, really quickly, and that's at least what I've heard from everyone that I listen to. And so you might not, it might just be better to focus this year and get it all over with and done so you can move on and move up, and you don't have to take the class again, because it might not be easier. You might think, oh, it's going to be easier because I've already learned this stuff. It's really not going to be. If you didn't pay attention your 8th grade year, it's probably not going to be very easy your 9th grade year either, because they go over things quicker and a little bit more in depth and stuff. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to talk about, social aspect. So the social aspect doesn't superly matter in middle school, and I'm going to give you guys a couple tips, not two, but a couple tips. So in middle school, you guys are, if you're going into middle school or you are in middle school, you're going to deny this, but trust me, when you get to high school / when you graduate middle school, you're going to realize you were this type. You were very sassy and especially middle school girls, you're really sassy, and most of you were fake. I was even fake. I'm not gonna lie, I was fake to a couple people because they were fake to me, and I didn't want to seem like the mean person to be mean to their face, even though I hated them because they hated me and because I heard them talking behind my back. But it's honestly, everyone's going to deny it. Trust me, you're going to deny it until you graduate middle school, and then you're gonna be like, wow, I really was sassy. But like, everyone is, and most people, especially nowadays and in my grade, most people are just fake. And you don't want those toxic people around you. You don't want to be in toxic relationships. Even if it's just friendships, you don't want to be in toxic friendships, toxic relationships. So just like, if you hear someone talking behind your back, go confront them, ask them what the heck it's about. And if they deny it, then you know they're fake. And especially if you definitely heard them talking behind your back and they deny it to your face, they're definitely being fake, and you can drop them. Just drop all the fake people out of your life because they're not important. Also, next thing is, middle school isn't really that important. It's prepping you for high school, and high school is prepping you for college and the rest of your life. But for the social aspect, it's not really important. If you're like top dog in high school or top dog in middle school, it doesn't mean you're gonna be top dog for the rest of your life. And if you peak in middle school or high school, peaking is when you're at the top, and it's all downhill from then. And if you don't peak in middle school / you like have a terrible middle school, like a terrible experience, like I didn't particularly like my experience for the social aspect, because I got bullied, especially in 7th grade. 7th grade was really hard for me, because I got bullied a lot, and people were telling me like that I shouldn't be alive and stuff like that. It was really painful. 7th grade year was really painful for me for the social aspect of it. But just like, it's okay to not really have the best experience for social aspects of middle school or high school. It just means you haven't hit your peak yet, which is good, because you don't want to hit your peak until you're like late 20s, early 30s, or even after that. You can hit your peak at like 50 and have it be amazing, because you can end up like being a billionaire at 50 because you just like hit your peak then, or whatever. But like, social, honestly, if you are queen, or like you are top dog, or you like prom queen or prom king, it doesn't mean you're gonna be prom king or queen or top dog for the rest of your life. And if you aren't, it means you still have room to improve, and just do your best, and it's okay. Trust me, social aspect, after you're done with middle school and high school, the social aspect of them, you're probably never even going to hear from these people who, if you were bullied or whatever, after high school, and like once you go off to college, if you don't go off to like a college near your high school, if you don't go to like a local college, you're most likely never gonna see these people ever again. And so like, it's okay if you're never gonna see these people again. You don't really care, and it's okay. So like, the social aspect of it really doesn't matter. But everyone's gonna be sassy, everyone's gonna be fake. It's something that happens. And even if you were a 7th grader last year, once you get to 8th grade, you're gonna think all 7th graders are annoying. / like, if you're in 6th grade, you were in 6th grade and you're going into 7th, you're gonna think all 6th graders are annoying. Even though you were a 6th grader / a 7th grader last year, you're going to think they're annoying and you're going to think they're like babies because they're younger than you, and that's just the way people think. And even though you were a freshman this year, next year you'll probably be like, oh, freshmen suck, or whatever. Because it's just human nature. Weird human nature with people being younger than you, even though you've gone through the same stuff they have. Anyway, so yeah, I hope you guys liked that video. It's literally 19 minutes and 40 seconds right now. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. Please like and subscribe and hit that bell button to get notified whenever I upload. And comment down below what grade you're going into. So I'm definitely gonna have to cut this video a lot because it's like 20 minutes long. Yeah. Anyway, so I hope you guys liked this video.